It seems like the world is in such disarray and like on fire. Well, and if you live in California, like literally it is on fire. So today I want to talk about having hope while the world is quite literally going crazy.
Sometimes life just sucks, and sometimes it freaking rocks. We will discuss all the things from family and real estate to travel and just life in general. So take a seat, or don't, you do you, and welcome to the Lambadass Podcast.
Okay, so we haven't podcasted in a while, and I say we, it's literally me and Billy, even though I'm doing this solo today. I felt like I was super excited at first. And I know if you've listened to my podcast, you know that some days I come in and I'm like, I do not want to be here. And right now we have so much going on. We're actually trying to close up 3 escrows. We just opened another one yesterday. So there's definitely a lot going on. As a sidebar, if you're watching this on YouTube, forgive my appearance or don't. I have every intention of going to the gym after this. So I usually, once a week, I like to try and start my morning really slow. And I typically pick Wednesdays because Wednesdays my kids start school later. So it's kind of nice. Like they sleep in an hour later. I get up. David will have his coffee. I will have my tea. Like we sit, we don't even really talk about much. Just, hey, what do you got going on? You have a busy day, just nonsense. Just to kind of start the day. And then I get the kids up and David made them breakfast this morning. Like I really like Wednesdays of all days to start out slow. And in order for me to be a successful person, like I know I have to have that in my calendar. So it's actually quite funny because I know that Wednesdays are normally like that. Like on Tuesday, my last appointment last night was like at 8 p.m. So it's actually quite funny. I had to go deliver a closing gift to a client. Anyways, I want to talk today about hope during like the crazy times, because I feel like right now there is just so much. I literally have my phone here and I'm going to be going over notes to make sure that my ADD stays in line, or I can at least divert myself back when I get off on a tangent, because I just feel like there's so much in the world right now. I feel like there's so much nastiness and hatred on social media to friends and family. I feel like it's just heavy. And of all days, we're filming on 9/11. Like it's very poetic, if you will. Today is the anniversary of 9/11. It has been 23 years since the World Trade Center. And it's funny to me because not funny, it's just very interesting because when something traumatic like that happens in the world, like you never forget where you are, what you were doing. Very similar to when, at least for me, when Osama bin Laden was killed. Like I know that was May 1st. That also happens to be my birth date. But I will always remember bin Laden was killed on my birthday. Like it's just very full circle. And 2,996 lives were lost on this day 23 years ago. It's just mind blowing to me. And I know there's a lot of conspiracies out there and stuff like that. And who really knows what happens? I think it just angers me more that we don't have answers. I feel like, yes, 2,996 lives were lost on 9/11, but how many more did we lose by going to war and all these things? Not saying we shouldn't have, just saying like there's just so much loss that is associated with this day. So again, it's all full circle. We're going to talk about all the things. The first thing I want to talk about is the fires going on right now in California. Somebody actually posted on Instagram today. They did something where they pulled up a map. I wish I could find it. They pulled up a map. If I find it, Billy, I'll send it to you. And I can find it. I'll look it up. And they were like, can we talk about like how literally North America is on fire? Because there are fires spanning from, Southern California all the way up the coast into Washington and Idaho and Montana, Wyoming, all the way up even into Canada. Like it is an inferno, and it sucks. Like it's mind blowing to me. And I know that there are so many factors that are associated, with our fires and stuff like that. But I can't help but be pissed that our government, like all of our government, not red side, not blue side, but the side of the government cannot, will not, chooses not to, I don't know, clean up these areas. Like, why aren't we trying to prevent this as much as possible? Instead, we're going on the news and saying what a great time it is to burn everything down. I'm saying that, tongue in cheek, but we're sitting here saying it's fire season, it's fire season. Stop. Really, any season in California is fire season because it's so damn hot here. And reality is we have fires burning all up and down North America. So you would at least the western side of North America. So you would think that maybe we should do controlled burns and maybe we should take some of the money that we pay in taxes and we should do something to prevent this from happening. Granted, y'all, I just sell real estate. So I don't have the answers to everything, but I'm also not about to complain about something without offering a solution either. So yes, I'm going to bitch about the fires, but at the same time, there's stuff that we can do. And it's crazy to me. I have many clients and friends who live up in our Southern California mountains who, now I'm going to sidebar here. I tend to wake up, normally I sleep really, really hard at night. Like I am out. In fact, we went to bed last night before 9 o'clock. Like we were in bed at like 8:40. I'm so old. Thank God too, because my stupid ass cat came in at like 4:50 this morning and was just meowing and causing a ruckus. She just wanted attention at 4:50 a.m. But needless to say, she was able to get it because I went to bed so early. Anyhow, a lot of times I wake up like 3:38 is the weirdest number ever. I don't know why. There's nothing significant at 3:38, but I wake up, I click my phone just to see what time it is, and it always says 3:38. It's really weird. And so I literally will lay there and I rest my body and I'm like, okay, God, like, why am I waking up right now? Like, who should I be praying for? Who's on my mind? And a lot of you listening to this, I would hope, like, just know sometimes I'm praying for you like 4 a.m. because that's just who comes to mind. So one morning it was my girlfriend who lives up in the mountains. And I remember I was laying there and I was going, God, I'm so tired, but I know I'm supposed to be praying for somebody. I can't think of who it is because I'm so tired. And it was like, hello, you're supposed to be praying for Crystal. So I started praying for Crystal and I'm like, just praying for the fires, praying for everybody and all these things. And listen, this is probably going to turn down to a route of spirituality at some point in this podcast. So be forewarned, but like this is really being placed on my heart. So I have to share it with you guys. And so I was praying for her. I have another friend whose family is going through a lot right now. I actually have two friends, very close friends of ours. Like I went to high school with one, and then I have another one who is a very good client of mine that was referred to me actually by my son of all people. He moved out here for his job from Kansas City, and they knew nobody, and like we love them. They're like part of our family, and both of these families are battling cancer, like nasty ass bouts of cancer. And so they've been heavy on my heart and stuff like that. So anyways, I'm praying for these fires and stuff. And it's like, gosh, like we have so little control of all the things that are happening. And, sometimes I get really anxious and I'm just like, I don't like this feeling. I pray for my business. I pray for all these things. And it's just like, I started changing my tune a little bit. I'll get to that in a little bit because I want to stay focused on what I'm talking about. But if you are affected by these fires, which still have burned thousands, tens of thousands of acres, especially in Southern California, because this is where we are, and you need a place to stay, so long as you're cool with my crazy crew and my dog and my sassy ass cat who might wake you up at 4:50 in the morning, you have a place with us. Like you can totally come stay with us. I was talking to my lender, who's also a good friend of mine. And he's like, that was so nice of you to offer that. And I was like, listen, bro, the only people who are really going to take me up on it are people who really need help and people who like feel like they could come close and ask me for that. Because 9 times out of 10, they're going to go to a parents or siblings or, their best friends or whatever. So if you really need a place to stay, our house is completely open. You are more than welcome to come be with us, because I can't imagine being put out and then being worried about your home. And then to find out that one of these was like set by some guy 1 city over from where we live. Did you hear about that?
I saw they caught a guy. I didn't know anything about him.
Okay, they caught this piece of shit. I don't even know how old he is actually, but and allegedly, right? Like assuming that it's this guy. He's from freaking Norco.
It was on purpose.
On purpose. He set the fire on purpose. And I'm grateful that I can't relate to crazy people, because then that would mean that I'm crazy too. But I don't get it. I've seen so much destruction and stuff like that. Like to me, I guess there's an ass for every seat, and I'm glad my ass isn't for that seat. Again, if you need help or anything, please let me know. Also, when it comes to your house, you need to make sure that you are properly insured. I have to throw this in here because, the real estate in me. you need to make sure that you're properly insured. You need to be going through your insurance policies, especially with the way that insurance is pulling out of California. You need to know exactly what's covered. If there's a flood in your house and it's on accident but it's made by you, like, is that covered? Like, you need to go through your policies. And if you have any questions, let me know. I will help the best that I can. And if I can't help you, I will direct you to somebody who can. Okay, there's my pitch. Okay, we talked about 9/11. We talked about the fires. Yesterday was the debate. Okay. So I do not want to get political because I do find myself very, very gray in a lot of areas, especially when it comes to, when it comes to fiscal things, like I'm really one way. And when it comes to people's rights and stuff like that, like I'm definitely another way. So I definitely lean hard one way, but I don't ever want anybody to feel who doesn't align with what I feel like to automatically just cut me off. So I do tread very lightly. I understand that. I get that. If you want to have a personal conversation with me, we can. But what I want to say about the debate is, one, I didn't even watch it. It's funny to me. Like, I don't really watch the news. There's a great Instagram page called Real News No Bullshit on Instagram. And I love going to that for my news source because they'll state like what's happening, and then they'll put like a red dot and they'll state like what the conservatives think, and then they'll put a blue dot and they'll put like what the liberals think. And I think it's so great to see because to me it like really gives you a good idea of like where each person's coming from. And you can say, oh, hey, I could see how they could think that, or I totally stand against it. Either way, it's unbiased media because you will never convince me that ABC, CNN, CNBC, Fox News, Newsmax, like they're all leaning one way. Like there is nobody, in my opinion, that is giving true journalism without their thoughts or anything. And I hate that because the media is bought, right? Like their job is to sell viewership. Like the more people that watch them, the more money they make. Like it's just the way it is. So if they're sitting you and they're scaring the piss out of you, and if they're telling you all the horrible things that are going on, and if you do watch the news, I used to, just so we're clear, I don't anymore. If you used to watch the news, or you still do, then you know that like they constantly just repeat the same shit. Like it's literally the same stories over and over and over again. I cannot tell you how many times I heard Dave Grohl has fathered a child outside of his marriage, like just within the last 24 hours. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard that. And it's like, okay, I get it. Like whatever, him and his wife, they need to do their own thing. It's none of my business. It's nothing I can control. So I'm not going to sit here and worry about it. But how many times are we going to have to hear the same shit over and over again is kind of where I'm going with this. But last night's debate was, from what I gather, and again, I didn't watch it. My daughter-in-law is a teacher and she works at a local high school, and I love her to pieces. Like, I don't know how I lucked out with the best daughter-in-law. I think, and we can go down this hole another day, but I think because you guys are well aware of the relationship that my family has with my husband's family, like I am deathly afraid of ever having that relationship with any of my daughter-in-laws. So I make a valiant effort to not. And we have really open conversations. Like even last night we went to dinner and we were having conversations like, you know, when Sweetie Pie and I retire, like these are the things that we want to do. And, you know, I'm young, right? My kids are probably going to be having kids within the next 5 to 10 years. So if that happens, I'm 41 now. So if I become a grandma in the next 5 years, I'll only be 46. So like we have a life that we still want to live too, and we still want to travel, and we want to be a part of our grandkids' lives. We want to be invested with our kids too. I was telling one of my girlfriends, I was meeting my daughter-in-law last night, and she's like, "Didn't you just see them?" And I was like, well, yeah, I guess we did. We saw each other on Saturday. And I was like, but I want to see my kids all the time. And like Jacob went over and spent time with his dad. Like, so my son came over, hung out with his dad. I got to take his wife out and enjoy the evening with her. Like it was awesome. And I'll tell you, it was like 1,000% better than watching that stupid ass debate. I feel like the debate isn't going to change anybody's opinions or minds. I don't think any but one person, and maybe I'm wrong. I think this is like more for people who are kind of like teetering between the two. I just don't see teetering. And I'm really interested in what you guys have to say too. So definitely comment nicely. Don't be an asshole, but comment nicely. Like, I don't know how you could be on the fence about who you're voting for. Okay, and so maybe it's my ignorance, or we'll chalk it up to ignorance, or my naiveness. Is that a word? I don't even know. But I feel like you can't, there's definitely like a lot of gray areas, but like there are really big deals to some people that aren't to others, right? Example, some people care more about abortion than they do people crossing the border illegally, and vice versa, right? People care more about where their tax dollars are spent than, I don't know, what's something that the other side believes, like more than their tax dollars are spent versus transgender rights. There you go. So like there's two sides to every story, but I feel like people should be voting on like what's most important to them. So if abortion is more important to you than people coming over here illegally, well then you know what way you need to lean. So for people to debate, and especially debating on the day before 9/11, I thought that was totally done distastefully. I feel like I know they bring up January 6th a lot and stuff like that, and that was an awful day for sure, no doubt about it. But to me, in my opinion, that is insane. If I look at the numbers, one person died on January 6th. Okay, I thought so. She was shot, I think, in the Capitol because she was storming the Capitol. One person died. 2,996 people died on 9/11. So I think that they really did a massive disservice to the servicemen and women in our country, to everybody. But again, I just sell real estate and clearly I didn't care enough. So I went and hung out with my daughter-in-law. But I feel that people are really torn up about this. I mean, people commenting on social media and posting things that are extremely hateful. We have a lot of mass shootings right now. We just had a mass shooting at a school recently, and it's like the hate that comes from that. Like, people forget the bottom line. Like, we don't like mass shooters, right? Like, nobody wants that. It doesn't matter if you're left or right. Nobody wants anybody to go into a school and shoot up people. Nobody wants mass destruction. Nobody. Red, blue, purple, orange, green, like it doesn't matter where you lie on the spectrum of what's the word I'm looking for? Politics. Again, this is why I keep you around. Nobody wants those things, right? We all want our kids to be safe and grow up in safe homes and in safe schools. And we all want to be able to go to work and make good money. And we all want to be able to buy homes and investment properties one day. And we all want to be able to feed our kids. We want to be able to go to whatever churches we want to go to. We want to be able to say whatever it is we want to say. Like, I feel like as a people, like as a human race, like we all want those things. So to me, to have two completely opposite people last night sit here and debate shit that in the real world doesn't matter. Like, we want safety. We want to be able to protect ourselves. I do even believe people who are against gun rights completely, like, you still want the right to protect yourself. I know so many people who are against gun rights, and they still believe that other people should have that right. Just because they don't like guns or whatever it is, they still feel other people should have that. And I have to tell you, in case you didn't know this, growing up, my dad owned a gun store. So I grew up with guns. It is something that I was always told are not to be feared, but are to be respected. And so that's kind of how I've always grown up. But I understand there are people that grew up like me. So I get that too. I was raised in a Christian household to believe certain things, to be held to certain standards. But I also know not everybody else was raised in a Christian household. So to expect people to have the same beliefs and thoughts as me is extremely ignorant. While I can hope that I am a good person and that I show you nothing but love and appreciation for who you are and where you're at in that moment, like, that's really the only thing I can do. But at the end of the day, like, it truly all comes back, at least to me, to faith. So here's how I'm wrapping this up. I have to go back to my notes. So here's what I want to say in order to give you hope, because I just gave you like all the massive craziness that's going on in the world and it's all so heavy. Here's what I want to tell you. I want to remind you that we shouldn't worry, okay? Because reality is we only need to worry about what we can control. Okay. So, and don't come at me yet. Let me finish. So can we control who's going to win the election? I don't know. I don't know. I like to think that all votes count, but I don't know. I don't know. Is there election fraud? Maybe. Can I control it? No, I can't. So the reality of it is I can do my part, but I can't control the outcome. So I'm going to stop worrying about the outcome. If Trump gets in, great. If Harris gets in, great. I'm going to worry about what I can control. I'm going to worry about raising my kids properly. I'm going to worry about, and I don't even want to say worry, I'm going to teach my kids that people are different. I'm going to teach them by showing them, by traveling the world, by loving them. You guys know that, at least if you don't know, if this is your first podcast, I have 4 boys, okay? 3 of them live at home, and I have one who owns his own home and is married. And like the only thing I can do is love the crud out of them so that they know when they need a safe space, they can come to their dad or myself. Like when they know that they need help with something, they can come to us. When the whole world is being a bunch of pricks, they can come to us. And that doesn't mean that I'm a pushover either, right? Like there has to be consequences for their actions, good and bad. My son Connor recently, he just went over to the kitchen sink and started doing dishes. Like nobody asked him to. Jared went and started taking out the trash. Carson went and moved his bike back. Like the kids do things. Jacob came by and stopped by early this morning before I even came over here. So I got to see literally all 4 of my kids this morning, and it's barely 10 o'clock. And so that's the world that I need to create. I have a sign at our lake house that says, if you want something, and I'm paraphrasing, if you want a better world, go home and love your family. And supposedly Mother Teresa said it. If she didn't, I got this sign from Home Goods. You're gonna have to blame them. So maybe it was Hobby Lobby. Either way, you'll have to blame one of them, not me. But the thought is still there, right? Like the meaning of that is still there. You need to go home and love your kids. You don't have kids, then you need to love your spouse. You don't have your spouse, love somebody. I mentioned earlier how, praying is like a big part of my morning routine at 3 a.m. And I kind of want to go back to that really quick because faith is huge to me. And, after the debate that I didn't watch, we have a big family text message. So we're all on there, and my sister-in-law's commenting and my dad's commenting and my brother-in-law, like they're all commenting and stuff. And I'm like, hey, you guys, none of this matters. It doesn't. Like it really, truly doesn't matter because we know who's in charge. And it was like kind of quiet, like the thing stopped, and then my brother-in-law pitched back in and he was saying stuff. And I said, you guys, we know who's in charge. At the end of the day, like God knows who's going to win this election. And so if you're really hung up on this election, like it's okay. It's going to be all right. And again, I go back to worry about what you can control. You can control how much you work so that you can make the money to put food on the table. And if food prices and gas prices keep going up and you have to alter your lifestyle a little bit, well, that's what you have to do in order to maintain control of what you can control, and maybe going back to family dinners isn't such a bad thing. And maybe you all get together and you host something with a bunch of your friends. There was a girl I'm part of this social media Facebook page about moms in the community. And she was like, does anybody have a local sitter who's not that expensive? I just need a date night. And I thought, girlfriend, you need to find a friend in this group. I messaged her separately. I said, find a friend in this group whose kids you can stand and who's, who you trust, and switch off. Like we need to be doing favors for one another. Is that an ideal situation? No. Do we want to be able to afford babysitters and go on lavish dinners and vacations every single day? Absolutely. But if that's not where we're at, well, then let's worry about what we can control. I would also like to just throw in there, if you are not a person of faith, I would recommend you deep dive into faith. Now, if you don't want to be a Christian or a Catholic or a Mormon or a Muslim or I don't know, whatever else religion is out there, then fine. But you need to find faith. You need to find strength in something. And I have found that if I put my faith in Christ, in Jesus, like life is better. And listen, I am the worst example of like a God-fearing woman, right? I curse, like I yell at my kids, like I get pissed at my husband. You know, I say things I shouldn't say and have to apologize profusely. Like I drive over the speed limit. Like I don't go to church every Sunday by any means, like not even close. To be fair, it's because we haven't found like a church that I feel like is home yet, but neither here nor there. I'm not actively looking for one either. So like I'm the worst example, but at the same time, if I could be the worst example and God could give me that peace, like, hey girl, it's all good. Like I've got this. I really don't worry too much about it. So I kind of want to end there. I hope that gives you some sort of peace. I hope that gives you some sort of hope, even if you're, again, not a spiritual person, like worrying about what you can control, doing the best and the most that you possibly can, and still being okay if the outcome doesn't come out in your favor, because again, you can't control it, is probably the best headspace to be in. And with the amount of anxiety and turmoil and nastiness on social media from bots, like of all people, like these are fake accounts that are making comments, telling people how stupid they are and how they know nothing and they're ugly and all these moronic things. It literally sounds like a fifth grader is just trying to be mean on social media. Sometimes it's hilarious to me. But it really gets to people and it gets them down. We should really be trying to uplift people. So I would encourage you to find some force out there that you resonate with and really divulge yourself into that. And the other thing I would say is I get a phone call. Sorry, I know I said I was ending and I'm totally rambling, but I get a phone call from my son every single day around lunchtime. And every time I was with my girlfriend yesterday, I answered the phone this way. She's like, you are out of control. So now I answer the phone and I'm like, hello, son, how can I make your day better? And we laugh, right? And he's like, can you come pick me up from school? Or can you bring me Chick-fil-A? Or can I DoorDash this to his school? Like he wants to DoorDash food. I'm like, nope. It's always no, right? Like I'm not coming and picking you up from school. I work. I don't know if you know that or not, but I actually have a job that I go to. Like I can't stop in the middle of the day to go pick up Chick-fil-A to bring it to you. The problem is I've done it once or twice. And so that's why they call and ask all the time. But anyways, and so we were laughing about it. Well, on my way home yesterday from Huntington Beach, I was thinking, what if we answered all of our phone calls that way? How can I make your day better? Like, think about it. It would probably stop people in their tracks. It'd be like, oh, well, you could meet me for coffee. I would love to see you. Or you could tell me you have an offer for my listing. Or you could tell me you want me to list your house or you want to buy one. Like there's so many things that we could say. And then what if somebody out there is really struggling and they're just like, I could just use, a couple minutes of your time. Like how great would that be if we turned that around? How could I make your day better? Not how could I help you? What can I do for you? Because people won't call us out on that, but how can I make your day better? So that's kind of the approach that I've been taking lately. When I'm praying at 3:00, if I can't think of anybody to pray for and, it's not on my heart, I'm like, all right, God, put in place today, whoever it is that I need to help, whoever's day I need to make better, please put them on my heart and on my mind. And I'll send out note cards to friends. And it's funny because they're probably thinking that this is so random but it's not. Like I'm genuinely, if you think about all the people you think about throughout the day and you told them that you were thinking about them, this world would be a better place. Like I think about so many people randomly. I was thinking about a girlfriend. I drove by a restaurant that we went and had lunch at one time. And I thought of her and I didn't tell her. And then she posted on social media like 2 days later. She goes, wouldn't it be interesting? Do you guys still think of me? Do you guys miss me? She's retired. She was an amazing title rep. I love you, Stacey Sloan. And so she posted about it. And I'm like, girl, I have to tell you, I was totally thinking about you. I drove by this restaurant and I should have texted you. And you know what? I'm going to make a conscious effort moving forward, especially in the climate that we're in, the nastiness that we're in letting people know that I'm thinking of them. So if you get a card from me, I want nothing from you. I just want you to know that I'm thinking of you. And if there is a way that I can make your day better, please let me know.